Get up!
Get out of bed!
Get coffee!
Get juice.
Get toast.
Get some form of condiment.
Get interviewed!
Get news.
Get music.
Get entertainment.
Get naked.
You're listening to
Get cereal!
Welcome back to Get Cereal. You've tuned in with Caitlyn, Sarah and Josh on 90.7. Now we're joined today with Lucy Horan. Now make sure I get your names correctly, guys. Jaklene Vukasinovic.
so close.
Yeah, was it really? Oh, goodness. And lastly, Matt Saraceni.
Perfect.
Yeah?
Don't change a thing.
All right, lovely.
Nailed it.
Now, you guys are here with the, so you guys are Melbourne-based actors specialising in improvisation, here to talk to us about the Big Hoo-Haa, but also about your improvisational acts in the Melbourne International Comedy Festival.
You make it sound so artistic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that right? That's right, isn't
yeah.
it?
Oh, yes, we are improvisational actors with a fine art form that we learnt at Goliath. Not at all. It's just a comedy show.
Oh, come on. You must have studied somewhere, though. You guys must all have.
Yeah, have you studied in the arts or?
Classically, no, but lots of training over the years with different improvisational companies around Melbourne and short courses and things through the VCA and things like that. Yeah.
I have an art science degree.
Wow, we've got the professionals in here today. Frankly, I'm pretty nervous. So, guys, what can you tell us about the Big Hoo-Haa? What acts have you kind of got lined up for the festival as well?
So the Big Hoo-Haa is an improvised comedy show. It's on throughout the festival. It goes for about an hour, and it's lots of fast-paced comedy throughout the hour. So there's scenes, there's one-liners, lots of games, and even a bit of singing.
Yeah. That's the scary part of the show, when we have to make up a musical on the spot. And I don't know how you guys are at making up musicals on the spot, but...
Just fantastic.
It would be a little difficult.
Yeah, and so we'll just get it from the audience, like a suggestion. That's how most of the things start in the shows. Just give us a suggestion and then we just go. But in that game, the singing game, at any time the MC can just blow the whistle and go, sing about it. And then you just got to improvise a song based on whatever the last line of dialogue you said. So it was your fault. You said the line of dialogue.
What if you finish it in, like, orange? What do you do?
Oh, lozenge, I guess.
Lozenge is it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. And then the song's just over after one line.
I had a teacher at school called Mrs. Gorange, so sometimes she gets whipped out.
Gets brought into it.
Yeah.
Mrs. Gorange.
So how much of your show is improvised, and how much do you just, like, is everything improvised? Like, do you have kind of like a plan before you go in?
So with improvisation, often we have a structure. We have like some ideas about the games we'll play. For example, we know that we will do an improvised musical.
Okay, yeah.
But that's about it.
You must have some rhymes that you go to, though. You must have little ones.
The best thing to do in terms of having stuff prepared is just improvising to yourself. So something I do is I'm in the car, and if I'm not listening to Sin FM, I'm kind of singing to myself and making up rhymes as I go along. So just kind of having, sometimes you reach back, you're in the middle of a show and you've got a word come up and you're like, oh, what can I rhyme this with? Sometimes you go, oh, I remember the time I found this word, and you might be able to bring that back. But most of the time, you're just flying by the seat of your pants and going, am I gonna make this happen in 3 beats time? Let's see. And if you do, the thrill is amazing. Like, the audience really gets behind you. And if you don't, then you fail with complete joy, and that's kind of one of the tenets of improvisation, is that even if you stuff it up, that's totally fine. To fail and fail happily, and to go out there every time not hoping that you'll fail, but definitely being open to failing.
To be honest, that's why the audience is there. Like, the fact that it is all being made up on the spot, they are just as on edge as you are. So, it's often quicker to make it up than to remember. So you can study all you want, and you can try and be really clever before the show, but it's all going to go out the window. And the best improvisers are the people who are there in the moment with you, ready to back you up. whenever you want. The guy who started the Big Hoo-Haa was a guy called Sam Longley in Perth. You guys might be too young, but there was like an NBA basketballer called Luke Longley who like won all these and he was like a full sports star in America, and his brother was like a theatre nerd, but was just as tall and like gangly, and he started the Big Hoo-Haa like over 15 years ago in Perth, and then because everyone moves from Perth to Melbourne, that's why it started over here. Anyway, he gave the best analogy ever, which was our show is like a bundle of really precarious sticks. And when all the sticks are working together to hold each other up, it becomes this beautiful structure. If any stick goes off on their own and tries and be like a hero or like a show pony or prepares stuff or whatever, the rest of the show always falls down. So I like to think of us as a bundle of sticks.
You're saying I should leave my Shakespeare monologue for another time?
No, please bring it in, because I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear that.
We do like practice improvising, so we practice the process, but it wouldn't be as effective if we're bringing in stuff we've done before. But we go through like, oh, let's practice rhyming songs, or let's practice one-liners, or what makes a scene really interesting. It might be focusing on relationships or characters, but we don't bring those same relationships and characters back in the show that Friday.
Okay.
And how long have you been rehearsing or like practicing then together for as a little trio?
How old's the troupe? The troupe's about, so there's like maybe 20 performers in our cast, and each show is different. And we got musos and MCs as well. But how many years is it now? It's over 7, right?
I think it's 8 years in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Can I ask how old you guys are?
104. Yeah. 32.
33.
Oh, wow.
34.
Hey! We planned that.
Did you know each other before you were all involved in the Big Hoo-Haa, or
That's a good way to meet people.
a new venture? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and the great thing about the Big Hoo-Haa is that they run annual or kind of maybe every 2 years they run auditions and people come and try out for the show. So it's a really great way of bringing people together who have a really different and varied background. So some people in the cast are professional performers, do it. That's all they do. Some people are school teachers. Some people are, I think we have people with a law background, people with business backgrounds, and that's really nice because it brings in a really diverse point of view and lots of different ideas.
I'm also curious, it's been bugging me since we said. When you do these little songs, when you improvise these songs for yourself, is there music in the background? Oh, there is. Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking if you're going to try to sing with it. Okay, I'm just curious about it.
We have a muso who improvises everything, and I don't know how they do it.
Oh, really?
It's
so they're actually
incredible.
playing it live?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're some of the most talented musicians in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
They're just making up these beautiful songs. And also, they're following us. So if we decide to go from like one note to in a completely different direction, they catch up. And I think that's the most amazing.
Is it a band or is it just one?
One person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, solo.
And I find that, like, the next day I'm still singing the songs from the night before.
That's right.
That's cool. Okay, is there any comedy groups that you'd compare yourselves to that you kind of think that you're similar to?
Or are you kind of one of your own? Just like a unique thing.
That's a great
Is there
question.
anyone that inspires you, perhaps?
Yeah.
I think there are definitely a lot of inspirations, both from like local acts and also overseas. Obviously, there are some really well-known names in the US that have come out of improvisation, and that seems to be something that draws people to improvisation, particularly in Australia. People kind of go, oh, wow, so-and-so trained with, Second City in the US. Maybe I should try improvisation in Australia. So, I came to impro kind of through Whose Line Is It Anyway? And so people like Colin Mockery and Ryan Stiles are still really big inspirations for me. Josie Lawrence from the UK. What about you guys?
Closer to home, there's a Sydney improv group called the Bear Pack, and so it's two guys, Carlo and Steen, and they both do comedy in their own rights, but they improvise with the cellist, and I've never seen shows that have better characters or stories than their improv. And although our show's probably faster and looser than kind of what they play, which is like one story in an hour, watching them is just like, well, it doesn't get any better than this.
Okay.
And that's so close to home as well. So they'll be at the comedy festival as well.
And Lucy?
I definitely signed up to improv classes because of Tina Fey.
Tina Fey?
Yeah, like just watching 30 Rock and then Googling and going, oh, they did improv, and yeah, so that's how I got into it.
I think a lot of the big actors do start off in improvisation, especially comedy.
Yeah, I think it teaches you how to be in front of an audience because there's no more brutal feedback than standing in front of a crowd and going, is this funny? I think this is funny. What do you guys think? And you haven't prepared it, and you haven't, you're basing it off whatever they said to you. So I think it teaches you that kind of performance skill that you can't get anywhere else. That's what impros are really good at. Plus, it teaches you scene work, character work. So when you go to write a 30 Rock or you go to make a movie, you've improvised 100 stories. So you're like, okay, I think this is how we should start and this is where it should go and this is what should happen. And also characters that you made up on stage could be really great comedy characters as well. So I'm not surprised that a lot of the US people start in impro. There's a big culture of it over there as well.
Now, you guys are in your early 30s. You must have done other things before improvisation when you were a bit younger.
Yeah, I started in university, like student theatre, both behind the scenes, mostly behind the scenes. I auditioned for a few shows, but never got cast. Teardrop, but mostly ended up doing stage management, lighting, sound, and that sort of thing. And that's been really handy for me to know as a performer. So, but yeah, I came from the backstage side of things, and then got caught up in the performance side of things.
Okay, and lastly, when are you guys performing?
Well, during the comedy festival.
Yeah.
Lucy, you got a piece of
dates?
paper.
Yeah, so we're performing at the Town Hall during the Comedy Festival. We open on Friday the 30th of March and we're running until Saturday the 21st of April. So we're performing every Friday and Saturday night at 11 p.m. and every Monday at 8:30 p.m. And the show's an hour.
Yeah, it's one of those things, during Comedy Festival, how there's like a million shows on and there's a blackboard. And so just remember the Big Hoo-Haa. And we have like a thing we do in the show to help people remember that, which is like every time we say the big, the whole audience goes, hoo-ha, and they've got to shout it out and you've got to do a fist pump. So if we all try it now, it's like, welcome to the Big Hoo-Haa! Yeah, it's easy. Easy to remember.
I wasn't quick enough.
Yeah.
I wasn't quick enough to catch on to that.
I like it how you still got the fist pump.
I know, I got ready, but no.
And then you
way
looked
too
at
slow.
your fist and went, damn it, you missed your chance.
Yeah,
No,
not very
I
good at
failed.
his improv.
No, I think I'll stick with People Can't See Me on the radio. But that was the Big Hoo-Haa, and once again, their names were Lucy, Horan, Jaklene. Okay, come on, just say the...
Vukasinovic.
Say
Easy.
Vukasinovic.
Yes.
Okay,
Simple.
and Matt Saraceni, that's right, isn't it? Oh, I swear that was the most nerve-wracking part of the whole thing. But you're listening to Sin 90.7, and this is Get Serial.